What is up, YouTube? McIntyre here. Today, bringing you a new video. Today, we're going to be highlighting the hero Greymane, which I feel like has kind of been under the radar. Greymane fell off of meta, I think, when heroes redesigned the way forts and keeps worked. Lots of his damage just is like AoE splash. It just happens at random. And his kit's built and based around, I think, sieging, right? That's where he's most successful. And when they introduced those fort changes, I think he kind of fell out of meta. But now that it's back to the original version of how the buildings work, and if there's minions around, then you can siege. This works particularly well with his level 20 talent, which we'll talk about later. I think he's kind of back and found himself back in this meta. In this game, I'm going to be talking over it, which I normally don't do. I normally play live and talk while I play. So we'll be able to kind of talk a little bit more in depth about the character, some of the nuances, and you know, what do we do to make sure that we play Greymane successfully. In this game, it's an interesting composition. We're against an Ariel Cho'gall. In the early game, like, we do have a Mathiel, so our dueling is okay, but overall, I think we're probably disadvantaged if we just go into a full fight. So you'll see here at the beginning, I'm going to do a lot of splitting. But level 1, we did pick up Viciousness on Greymane, which basically increases the duration of his W to 4 seconds. And any button that you press spell-wise that connects will extend your W. This is really important. Your W gets a cooldown of 0.5 per auto attack you deal. You'll see in this game, I try to do my best to juggle the W. But Viciousness helps because you can throw a cocktail to keep it going. And whenever you, I think, like, this is what makes a good Greymane. A great Greymane is how well you use your W and when you use it and how well you can maintain it. This becomes incredibly easier once you hit level 13. You get the movement speed. But, you know, if you see a Greymane press W and then drop it immediately, like, that is a big mistake. Lots of the damage from this character comes from that button press and utilizing it, maintaining it, and then potentially using it so much and keeping it going so long that you have W back on. So here we push out mid, we have a rotation ahead. We're going right for the Oriole. Tassadar has a great wall, and we can see in Worgen form, especially in the early game against squishy characters, if Greymane can connect, he does absurd amounts of damage. And I like this game, and the reason I wanted to upload it particularly is because you saw there I tried a cocktail to keep my W going. I have a really good composition for Greymane, right? Tassadar, Tyrael, Rhaegar. So we have Rhaegar to pocket heal us. We have Tyrael, who's like legitimately an incredibly strong character. If you guys haven't already, check out my Tyrael assassin carry build video that I uploaded. But B, he just keeps Greymane alive. He provides the CC Greymane doesn't have. He gives him the shields that Greymane doesn't have. He gives attack speed and movement speed that Greymane just wants more of, right? So the character is insane, and something like Rhaegar providing, you know, lightning shield, totem. You can see here, this is, I think, where like Greymane really succeeds. Unfortunately, my Mathiel kind of griefs it, but Greymane is so good at pushing lanes that are uncontested, or not so much uncontested, unbalanced, right? Like if I'm pushing with a Blaze and we're being defended by a Yrel, Greymane and Blaze are going to just shove a Yrel in. There's nothing Yrel can really do. She can try to clear the way, and she probably will be able to eventually, but the pressure and damage that Greymane brings changes out the outcome of that situation. And then because he can siege so well, you can like quickly take walls down, quickly take, you know, camps, etc., right? Because he has so much base damage off of the rip. Here, Thrall steps into me. We use Q to go through Thrall into a body block. And you can see we press our W immediately once we decided we were going to commit. We're utilizing our Q to keep our W going as long as we can. And, you know, picked up the Thrall. That's all we got. Now we're looking for the Ariel. She actually rotates in a way that I'm lined the whole time, which is really sad. But I do not want to really fight Cho'gall, right? Like, I want to use wave manipulation in this game, which Greymane does great. to force them into bad positions. I also want to, just like I was talking about, pick on the solo laners, pick on the people that are by themselves, because a little bit of CC plus a Greymane goes a long way. If I were to go up to this Thrall, for example, and pressure Malterials on him, me and Tyrael can do a ton of damage to that. Whereas if I go and posture fight against Cho'gall Ariel, I'll shoot the Cho'gall, sure, but eventually the Ariel is just going to sustain it, and I'm going to be in trouble. So here's another thing that is kind of important. I've missed a little bit of my talent build. I did go block at 4. This is for the Thrall, for the Cho'gall. They hit heavy. You saw there, I Worgened immediately for Blaze because I wanted to get myself blocked. You also get 10% armor when you're in Worgen. And when you're running away, you want to stay Worgen for as long as you can. See here, I'm just like in Worgen, not really mounting up, because I want to be able to use my Q and E like that really quickly to decide if I'm going to go in further or if I'm going to retreat. I think one thing that I see Greymanes do incorrectly is if they're ganked or they're out of position, they'll tumble away thinking that they create space, and then it's just not enough space. But if they stayed Worgen and they continue to press Q, then you can actually create enough space between you and your opponent, or you can utilize Q to dodge a skill shot that gives you the gap to tumble away, and now you're out. You see that happen more often than not, whereas if you just stayed Worgen and threatened the fact that you could press your Q button, you can see there I went for an E and just mistimed it. Someone won't commit to you. I mean, like here, Blaze just doesn't even care. He's going to the middle lane. And I think in the later stages of this game, I actually have a moment where maybe if I stay Worgen, I could survive. But here we do get first turn in. I did take range at 7, another incredibly important talent. This is so good when paired with your 13 talent. It gives movement speed. Even when you use Worgen form, it allows you to maintain that W at a safer range. You want to soften people up with auto attacks with your gun until you can go Worgen. Here, I'll be honest, I probably could have lived if I just kept running. I try to do something that is possible, but I learned, see here, if I dodge that wolf, maybe. If I dodge that wolf, Q, E down, I might be able to live there, actually. But I learned something there. When you press your R as Greymane, you're unstoppable until you reach your target. In this case, I R'd Blaze. So by the time I reached Blaze, he was mid-charge. My unstoppable on the animation ended. Blaze's charge connected, and I was stunned. If I had pressed R on Thrall there, I think I actually live. You're not going to see any more of that happen in this game, but if you watch my stream, you'll see sometimes I'll use Go for the Throat to avoid a CC. Let's say a Nubarak is diving at me, I can press R to avoid it. Or ETC is going to slide me, I can press R to avoid it. There's certain talents, so like Hanzo Arrow. If it's going to hit you, you can press R into somebody and become immune to the CC. So you'll see that. You can utilize that. It's not like your go-to thing, but definitely like in a pinch. In that case, right, I was already ganked, so I went for it. But I also not a cursed bullet enjoyer, especially when it comes to Storm League. Now, if you're playing competitive and you have like a Joanna one-shot comp and you have a Li Ming and blah, 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 and everything makes sense for cursed bullet, sure, go for it. But in hero, like in heroes during like Storm League matches, you want to be able to keep yourself safe. You can see here I go Worgen, double block there, reduce tons of that Thrall's damage. But in like, yeah, Storm League, you kind of like want to play for yourself a little bit. Go for the Throat presents not only a way to get back on a Worgen, it presents an unstoppable if you time it right. Obviously, it presents an execute and a reset. So like, let's see, I think here I actually end up getting one. You'll see. I'm looking, I'm just saying Worgen. Haven't pressed W yet. Now I press W. So I'm like, okay, it's go time. We're able to walk past them because Oriole is not in the bunker. And we're on the backside. We talent movement speed. And again, we're just softening up. We're not going to commit. We're just softening, causing problems. Now we commit. We can get the execute. And we're on the Oriole. We're going to look like we run. And then we're back on Oriole again. So That's what Go for the Throat to me is doing, right? It's allowing us to get in, reset, and then get back in again if we get the reset. In the meantime, we use the increased range, we use the movement speed here, and I'm going to try my best to maintain my combo. You can see the bottom left, we're at 35. I'll hit this wall, then I can QE to the boss. I still have the combo going, right? And we'll have the combo all the way through the boss. Obviously, this guy's a beast at doing any sort of camp, any sort of siege, anything that's uncontested that he can hit with on the prowl. He's got the movement speed with his W, right? He's super, super effective at things like this. Taking things quickly. In comparison to something like Jaina, who's good at bursting, right? And doing damage, tons of damage up front. This guy's going to do tons of damage at constant pressure. His issue is he obviously has no CC. He has no sustain. And his burst is, you know, okay. If you hit like cocktail EQ or like maybe it's like 2,500 damage, 2,000 damage maximum. You can see 359 autos. Like most of your damage comes from your auto on this character. And this is another great example of like why this guy is so good. If you get into an area where you're not contested on a structure, you can just get so much value. Here, I'm going to play a little bit with fire. I just saw my Rhaegar go bottom. I pinged for assist. Cho'gall almost makes a really good play with the Ariel, but I'm able to get Ancestral. They just used everything. So did we. So now we can pressure mid. And you can see I'm just maintaining this hit combo as long as I can to keep that movement speed going. Not going in, just softening up. Now I decide that it's worth going in and try to save the Tassadar. I'm going to use my R here to go over. And I try to go out the back door. Honestly, here I maybe should have just kept pushing bottom. I get charged down by Blaze, but this is the point where I think if I stayed Worgen, I might could have lived. So I dodge this. If I just keep queuing, let's see. Ariel looks like she's going to catch me, but see, she wouldn't have. She got dismounted by a minion, and she would not have caught up. I might have gotten oiled, and he could have charged me one more time. But if I queued, I probably would have queued here. He would have been on me. He would have oiled somewhere in here. I would have queued. He would have charged. And then maybe if I press E then, I have enough space between me and them, and I can escape. So that right there is a perfect example of like, you can just stay Worgen in. That's your best way to escape, not using the E. I think I E'd because I thought Ariel was going to whip me. She got dismounted, and she was further than whip range. So misplay by me. But at the end of the day, not the worst. Waves push out. We got decent siege damage bottom. And they're not going to get that much value, I don't think, with this turn in. We have a hard camp mid. Our team's already double position bot. Top's pushed out. So we're going to clear bot, clear mid instantly. And be on our way. So 16, this game, I'll pause really quick. 16, we did take Alpha Killer. This is like a game specific. I think if you are hitting enemy heroes with your gun a lot, and let's say you have an Arthas and you're against an ETC, the execution damage that's like increased damage to CC targets, no brainer. Best sustained damage. If you're against a team where you're not going to be shooting them a lot, you're going to be running around the map, you want to siege, you want to counter pressure. Maybe like something like a hammer. You're against a hammer, you're just going to let hammer siege your bottom, and you're going to counter siege top. You take the attack speed. Like that's going to be the best, most effective against like you're on a cursed hollow and you want to take the boss as fast as possible. You take the 16 attack speed. And the third option in this game is I take Alpha Killer. Obviously, this is a tech choice. We're against a Cho'gall, so 3% on auto is crazy against him. Blaze, another really good character to auto attack. And just generally speaking, this only affects your Worgen auto attack. So in most games, I will not stay Worgen. In this game, because of the way my comp is, the Tyrael's engaging, the Rhaegar supporting me, I can go Worgen. I can Worgen against these guys I'm going to hit them, they're going to hit back. They're melee, right? So it's a really effective talent. I think this game specifically, not something I take every game. But the defense has happened, so now I need to maintain my W. I'm going to soften them up with my autos here. We're just dealing as much damage as we can. You can see Blaze is just dying to the point that he has to bunker. Now we're pressuring. We want to maintain our W if we can. Okay, Aegis is used. Ancestral is used. We know that they don't have buttons, so now we can start going. And here's the 3%. And now we look at, you know, keeping our W up. So I've autoed that twice now. I see this wall. I can extend. Go for the throat for the gap closer. Pick that up. And this is why the movement speed's insane. Like, you think he's gotten away. I can Worgen. I get an auto on this. Keep that combo going. I space a little bit incorrectly. That one shouldn't have hit me, but the totem slows, and we're able to even pick up the thrall. So I love this Rhaegar this game, though. Like, not all support players are going to follow you across the map like that. But the fact that this guy is, like, proactively seeing the aggression coming out of me and is responding to it by supporting it is, like, again, that's what's going to allow this character to, like, really thrive. Is being able to have the Tyrael shield and sword and EU and the Rhaegar to lightning shield you and ancestral you. Like, both fights so far, he's ancestraled me. And obviously our comp is great for that. Mathiel doesn't need heals. Tyrael doesn't need heals. Tassadar likely doesn't need heals. He's got his shield. He's got his Archon. So all of the health, all of the support gets kind of funneled into me. So here we go. We're going to top. We're going to look to push in on this. This is, I think this is a game-winning push here. We aren't going to hit level 20 for Blunderbuss, unfortunately. And I mentioned how much more effective this character is now with the changes to keeps. But I want to pause here really quick to just talk a little further about that before the game closes out. Originally, when you would push here, you would take Blunderbuss, you would attack, you would cleave targets behind the building. And the building would target you, you would take half of your health minus 40 armor. It was bad. Now, you know, if you're pushing in a wave like this and you're shooting these minions and this guy and this Ariel is standing here, we're cleaving them. Like, it's so good. It's so much pressure. It's just softening, softening, softening for your team to then eventually go. And at that point, you would go for the throat and engage with the team, right? Here, we're softening. We won't have Blunderbuss, but we're softening. We're shooting the Ariel. Ariel just had a tap. We're shooting the Cho'gall. Cho'gall's taking damage. Blaze goes in. He bunkers. I'm pressuring Ariel. I see she's either going to Aegis herself or Aegis the Blaze. I decide to R the Blaze for a reset. I get the reset. I R Cho'gall. Ariel's had a hard time healing this entire time. Right? We take Blunderbuss now, but we're able to run them over. So we split pressure on the Ariel. Ariel has to choose if she heal herself or the Blaze. I assume she would prioritize herself. So I R to the Blaze. We get the reset. And we end up closing out here with a 3-level lead. But, you know, the 3-level lead all generated from Siege, Soak. You know, if we hit tab and look at the stats, right? We are the top XP contribution as a range assassin, not Mathiel, not Tassadar, Greymane, right? Top Siege, top hero damage, even. So all of this to say this character is super, super good at pushing waves. He's super good at taking camps. He's really good at taking bosses. He's just terrible at keeping himself alive. He's terrible at... there's no slow. So the only thing he can do to maintain pressure is the movement speed, which you saw this game. And he really kind of needs... He doesn't always need someone to be there with him because, like, in this case, I think if me and Thrall just slam heads, I go Worgen and Thrall runs into me with his E. I actually think Greymane has enough sustain with the 10% armor plus the 2 block charges that I probably can kill Thrall, if not pressure him enough to like have to Sunder or Earthquake by myself. But it's like when this guy is paired with characters that push him even further, he can succeed so much more. So let's take a look really quick at the talent again. We do Viciousness, that extends our W. This is probably the most priority that I see weak Greymanes. do is they press W and they don't maintain it. You have to maintain it. And the reason for that is because on the prowl gives us 30% movement speed as long as inner beast is active. So maintaining our W keeps inner beast active, which gives us 30% movement speed, which allows us to kite position. We can keep that pressure with Quicksilver bullets at 7, increasing our attack range. This 4 talent is a tech. I took this for block. You know, when you go Worgen, you can take the Invis. The Invis is super sweet versus like Tyrael. Anything that like wants to point and click you. There's a way, you know, when you go Worgen, you tumble, you go Invis, you won't get targeted. Zeratul can't attack you, right? There's a good example. Like Zeratul, if he wants to blink and punch you, he won't be able to if you go Invis. Polymorph, Brightwing Polymorph. 16, again, tech talent, whatever way you want to go. Go for the throat is my go-to always on Greymane. I just love being able to go Worgen. I love the unstoppable, the reset potential. And it just gives you a double gap closer. So you can like EQ a blaze, go past the blaze, go for the throat, the back line, and now you're pressuring the back line and the blaze has to pull back into you. And then at 20, this is the piece de resistance. Like this is the talent that makes this character insane in the late game and what allows him to carry. We already were so ahead this game because the comp was so great. But if you get to 20, I just feel like it's very hard to lose so long as your team plays around this blunderbuss talent. It just allows you to just pressure with autos. You're cleaving frontline, you're cleaving backline. If you have an Arthas that's slowing people, everybody's getting crit. And you're just doing tremendous amounts of damage at a really safe range with, you know, these talents. It's really hard to engage on. And then when you get engaged on, you can go for the throw, unstoppable it. You can Worgen out. It's crazy. So I wish to see more of this Greymane picked. Hopefully this video helps you guys, encourages you to try him out. If you like the commentary version of my videos more, let me know in the comment section below. If you have feedback to this, let me know in the comment section below. It's my first time trying it, so thank you all for watching. If you want to check me out live, I stream Monday through Friday on twitch.tv/McIntyre from about 10 a.m. EST until about 5 p.m. And you can always, you know, follow me there, hang out, see all this stuff happen live. If not, thank you all so much for watching. Until the next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.